Welcome to Syntax. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Front End Happy Hour podcast.
Welcome to this week's JS Party.
Live from Shipshape Studios, this is Whiskey, Web, and Whatnot, with your hosts, Robbie the Wagner and me, Charles William Carpenter III.
That's right, Charles. We drink whiskey and talk about web development. I mean, it's all in the name. It's not that deep.
This is Whiskey, Web, and Whatnot. Do not adjust your set.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Whiskey, Web, and Whatnot with your kind of hosts, Robbie the Wagner and usually Chuck, but not today. Yeah, he might be here later. He's having some technical difficulties, but Adam has helped us host before, so we're set. So we do have two special guests today. We've got Adam Argyle and David East from the Bad at CSS podcast. Yeah, do you want to tell the folks at home a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, David, go first.
Oh, I go first. You're the one who always runs down the intro. Okay, I usually just go ride the wave from your intros, and so now I'm gonna be like, so we have a podcast, and there's CSS in it, and it's not good. It's really not good. Yeah, Adam and I run a podcast called the Bad at CSS podcast because we deeply believe in our hearts, minds, and souls that we're all really bad at CSS. Though with Adam, he's always like, "Oh, I'm so bad," and then you look at his code and you're like, "Okay, thanks for that. I'm gonna go
look at my site and be like, this is a mess. He didn't use Tailwind."
But yeah, Adam and I have been running the Bad at CS podcast almost a year now. I don't really know. I don't know. It's been good. Adam, you do the I don't do the intro thing. Adam, you do the intro thing.
Oh man, David rules lots of intelligence, and he's just a very multi-talented individual. Like, you got to check out all the work he's done on Firebase. He's written multiple libraries. He does design and he does dev, and he doesn't just do dev or design. He's like really deep on all these things, probably a little deeper than me on multiple pillars, which is kind of fun because I feel like I'm kind of multi-headed dragon also, but you're over there. You got like some deeper, bigger dragon heads on the end of your necks. This is getting weird.
I'm that dragon at the end who's like, there's like the strong dragons, and then the one that's like, oh, that's how I feel, at least.
Oh, they're always the hero of the story, though. You're going to underestimate that dragon. It's going to show up and it's going to have superpowers in the end. It's just like, I had all the powers of all the dragons this whole time. I just looked stupid. Anyway, my name is Adam. I'm on the Bad at CSS podcast also. And we sometimes it's topical, sometimes we have guests. Ultimately, it's about like empathizing with what we don't know, embracing what we don't know, and kind of the more we learn we don't know. And it's like reveling in that fact. And I also work on the Chrome team. David and I are both at Google, but just kind of weirdo public outward devs. Like we're devs that, he's on IDX now, which is a pretty slick little code editor. There's a whole bunch of code editors in the cloud space right now. There's like a battle royale happening.
You can get your season pass. I don't know actually anything about battle royale. I don't play, but that sounded smart, yeah. And I was like, let me take that back before I'm deeply out of my element here.
Yeah. So I do have an important question for you guys.
All right.
And I don't know if you've covered this on the podcast or if it's intentional, but did you intentionally choose Bad at CSS because you can't spell it without badass?
No, that was a total accident.
But it was a benefit. I can't lie. Like I told it to my wife, who's very good at catching all of the things I say, like grunt and gulp, and she's like, "That's gross." She's just like really good. I'm just like too in the weeds and can't notice it. So I was like, "Yeah, we're thinking about calling it the Bad at CSS podcast." She goes, "Kind of sound like you said badass, which is kind of badass." And I was like, "It is badass."
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the name came up with like, where it's like, what? Oh, you have to film. What's it called? And you're like, it's the Bad at CSS podcast. Yes. And you're like, and now it's like the band name where you're stuck with it.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. So we are going to get into the CSS 2, where I called it CSS 2 truths and a lie. We played 2 truths and a lie before, where it's like you say 2 true things about yourself and a lie, and you have to decide which one's the lie. But right before we jump into that, I do want to mention we have free tickets to All Things Open, which is in Raleigh at the end of the month. So going to drop that link in the chat if anyone wants some tickets. Anyway,
very cool.
Back to the show. Yeah, so do you want to hit me with a couple of
You ready?
Or
What
I
about
guess
whiskey?
3
Shouldn't we
CSS
rate?
things.
Shouldn't we sip some whiskey or something first?
You
I
want to
mean,
do
we
that
can-
first? Okay.
I mean,
all
we
right,
can reverse
whiskey
the order.
first.
Y'all usually do it in the beginning, state your tentacles and give it a little flavor
Yeah,
note.
listen, Chuck does the whiskey. He's not here. I don't know how it works.
He's probably
we've
watching
got-
right now, just all sad.
We have the Catoctin Creek Ragnarok Rye Whiskey, which is a partnership with some band. It probably says on
Tenacious
here.
D. I mean, it seems like Tenacious D.
I don't think so. Does everyone have the same top?
Yes,
The top is very cool. Yeah.
I'm like,
Oh yeah, yours is a little different, I think.
oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, so we have
yours is
horns
different.
and you have like some
You
kind
got
of
like
monster.
a dragon. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they had a bunch of different tops, so
I'm
Yeah, so-
struggling to decork mine. I don't want to break the head. I don't want to break the head on it.
Yeah.
Oh, here
So
we go.
we've got this is 92 proof. It's 100% rye, aged with white oak, sugar maple, and cherry wood, and finished in rum casks, and is certified kosher. If you care about that and your whiskey.
Oh,
I came prepared today with like a little bit of like purified water to drip in there, multiple glasses so that I
Ooh.
can try different styles. I just poured it over some peach fresca in
Wow.
case I need a tasty sip.
Nice. All right, yeah. So we just give it a sniffy sniff and a little bit of a sip. Whatever comes to mind is totally fine and correct. So let us know what you think. Let's see.
I do like
I
it.
smell strawberry fruit by the foot.
I taste
And-
alcohol. Yep.
Yeah, definitely some
alcohol's
of that in
there.
there.
Yeah.
Maybe some hibiscus.
Ooh.
Smells
Maybe-
a little like whiskey.
Bean burritos. No, I'm just kidding. Not that one. All right,
I like all your fun candy references. I'm like, a mamba. Should we just go through 90s candies that make us happy?
All right, let's see what it tastes like. Ooh, does not taste like it smells. A lot spicier.
It is definitely
It
on
is.
the spicy side of the flavor profile. I like the way that it's like coating the outer sides of my tongue with the spice. It's kind of fun.
I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna say. I'm like it's alcohol and I have a fancy glass.
I'm ready for my review.
That's half the battle. Yeah, go ahead.
Imagine a whiskey that's aged in European oak casks that once held a rare sherry. The initial nose is a delicate ballet of citrus zest, particularly grapefruit and blood orange, dancing with subtle hints of peat smoke. On the palate, the flavors evolve into a complex tapestry. Notes of honeyed orchard fruits like ripe pear and apricot are intertwined with the gentle warmth of toasted oak and a touch of sea salt. The finish is lingering and elegant, leaving a final impression of dried figs and a subtle hint of clove spice. This is a whiskey that invites contemplation, a liquid poem of complexity and sophistication.
Nice. Did you come up with that on the spot?
Oh, dude, just right off the dome right now. Yeah, just like a freestyle. It's totally not Gemini. I mean, that was not. I mean, that
Wow.
was me.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
That was
beat that,
very, very
David.
well put.
I guess.
Smell some dirt. No, I'm just kidding. I did saw this guy did this whiskey review once, and he was like, "Yeah, it has some dirt in it," and I was like, "Because that's bad," and he was like, "And it's good," and I was like, "The dirt is good."
Which
We
dirt?
like the dirt,
You know?
Yeah. He's like, "It's a nice dirty taste," and I was like,
Yeah,
I don't
I'm
know
not sure what you mean by that.
yeah,
but,
it's dirt, But this is actually what I think I kind of wish I would have done, because I have some Angostura upstairs. I wish I just kind of live made an old fashioned with this, and in my freezer, yes, because you all were wondering, I do have cubed rocks with Tears of the Kingdom logo on it from a box
Ooh.
my daughter has. So yes,
It's like
that have
dragon
been in
tears
there.
to use in your whiskey. That's cool.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure those ice cubes have been in there for 6 months. So I imagine the flavor that's coming out of
Great.
that old fashioned would be fantastic. But I would want to drink an old fashioned with this one because it has a nice spice to it, and I find that when you have a kind of like very sugary bourbon forward old fashioned. It's a little thick and it's a little too desserty for me, where it's like almost it tastes like you're drinking like a port. Whereas this has that nice rye spice to it. And I would greatly enjoy this in an old fashioned. At least I think so. I think that you could get a nice balance with this. So that's kind of what I think is if you're a person that if you go out, and you order old fashioned and you say like, hey, I want it with rye, I think this could work really well because it does. The spice is definitely there.
Yeah, you'll have to report back. You can make one later on and let us know.
Yeah, with the Breath of the Tears of the Kingdom cubes. That's a requirement.
Yeah. So we do have a very complex rating system on this podcast. It is 0 to 8 tentacles. 0 is the worst you've ever had. Like, you don't want to drink any more of it, throw it out. 8 is like, this is the best ever. Just get rid of everything else in the house. Only drink this. And a 4 is like middle of the road. Just meh, I guess. Yeah.
Oh.
So we'll have Chuck go first.
Perfect. I'm here.
Ooh.
Do you hear yourselves?
Oh, yeah.
I don't think I hear myself.
Yeah, you are boosted, man.
Oh,
You sound booming.
I can drop the boom.
Oh,
I don't know.
There you go.
I
drop
felt
it
like
by
you
sound
needed
good,
to.
too.
Press
You
it.
needed to
Pretty
read
good.
some. I
Yes.
need some audiobooks.
I'm back.
From that.
This
From outer
episode
space.
is sponsored by Road firmware updates.
Yeah. Which are very serious. Okay. What's up now? Am I
Hey, the
screaming?
gang's
Am I
all
good?
here.
Sounds great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. You already talked about the whiskey and tried it out?
We just drank
Well,
it, and I explained
it's
the
your
rating
turn.
system, and you joined. So I was like,
Yeah.
hey, it's Chuck's turn
All
to
right.
tell us his
I rate this a 10 out of 8 because I just got here. I rate the lid really high. You got to say
Yeah,
that.
the lid
Yeah.
gets
The lid
its
is
own.
pretty sick. Okay.
I'm getting Doom vibes off the label hard. Like he's got like a chainsaw, some sort of badass backpack. He's going through winter-covered lands into the depths of Satan's hell. That sounded weird, but anyway, it's pretty. It's cool.
Okay. Excellent. Let's see here. I'm going to take a little gander. I do like the picture. It's 100% rye. I have no idea on aging time. It's finished, so that sounds cool.
Oh, so he
It's from-
is the whiskey guy. Like,
Yeah,
This is the thing.
Yeah, I am the whiskey guy, I guess. That's called alcoholism. I know it was rum finished. It was aged in some other stuff. It's from Virginia, so it's probably terrible.
It says you have Riverside open
these
in
are
other tabs.
Fighting words.
Chuck,
Oh.
you need to close the other
Ooh, that might have
ones.
been the echo on the OG scenario.
Oh, it wasn't.
I don't
Definitely
think so.
wasn't. We
Road
had this
does
problem
that.
before. It's when it's like streamer mode versus gaming mode, and whether it shares the audio from your computer or not.
Yeah,
So that's
which
all.
is super annoying that there's not a physical switch for that.
No, super cool. All right, so I'm gonna taste it. See what I think.
You won't.
I just put 2 drops of water in mine to see what that does.
Interesting. So I've had a catoctin.
Cato.
I've had this before. It was all right.
Yeah, we had their hot honey one.
Hot
which was
honey.
surprisingly tasted just like hot honey.
Yeah. I've had a couple.
This
of
episode
their
brought to you
things.
by Mike's Hot Honey. That's on my desk right
Ooh.
now.
Have you had the extra hot honey yet?
No.
There's
Dang
an
it.
extra hot also. It's a
Ooh.
little much for me. I like the regular hot honey on some pizza though. Yeah, this is pretty easy. I think you put honey in my mind. I get a little bit of maple syrup on that. That's probably from the rum though, influencing some sweetness there. Some spice, some sweet.
When I put the drips of water in there, it really brought out the kind of candied scents and
Pecans.
flavors. Yeah.
Candy pecans. Yeah, it really evokes fall for me in the flavors.
Evokes.
So that's kind of cool.
Very fair. Yes. Pumpkin spicy worthy.
But not
mixer or
obnoxious.
just- yeah.
Not weird and obnoxious. So I kind of dig that. I like it so far. I'm probably going to give it somewhere around a 6. That's my safe and like above average. I don't know, 5.5. I'm going to say for now 5.5 is where I'm going with it.
Yeah, whoever wants to go next, I don't know.
I'm ready. I'm going to give it a
All
6, which I was prepared to do. It's yummy. I like the spice. I like the heat in my chest. I like the way that it's resting on my tongue. It doesn't feel too sweet, which I tend to dislike if something is kind of, I don't know, just syrupy in some way. And this is able to like get a kind of, a good maple syrup kind of vibe with a lot of spice and, but a nice finish. It's not gooey. I like it. Yeah, 6, maybe more, 6.5. I like it.
You could grow into it.
I would agree. I would give it like a 6, but I like I was saying before you joined, Chuck, is that I see this being very good for an old fashioned because I'm a big fan of rye and old fashioned instead of bourbon because you get yourself a really nice, you get that nice spice palette, whereas bourbon's already sugary, and then if you get like sugar on top of sugar, it just can be a little too like it's like a port wine. This I think could really bring out like a good old fashioned drink. Like I feel like this would bring some heat with that. You know, you need some burn with an old fashioned, and this could supply that. So I think I would give this a 6, but I'm definitely going to give it a nice little Nix some later. Get some simple syrup in this bad boy with some Angostura.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be good.
You and your proper Glencairn there. Very nice.
Yeah, that's what it's called. I forgot. Yes.
The Glencairn.
I like to refer to it as
the whiskey glass.
The swoop-de-doo. It's a swoop-de-doo.
Tulip glass. I think
it starts to swoop and then it doos. So I know you're into this, but you're not at my level, so you don't know that's actually what we.
Well, that's why I'm so glad to have you on, so that you can help me kind of improve my whiskey and drinking knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there's that.
Well, I've been listening to your podcast, and you've been
very confused, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm just like, what are these terms? These are not what we call them.
I don't even know that. I don't know what the terms are.
No, it's true.
I do know that.
Speaking of things we don't know anything about.
Yeah.
Let's do some.
You're ready for the game.
CSS
stoked,
properties.
Yeah. Well, wait a minute. He didn't even do his rating. Did you do your rating?
Oh, Robbie didn't do a rating.
No. Oh, I didn't do mine.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a 5. It's fine.
It's a 5. Fuck it. Moving on. All right.
Let's do some CSS. All right.
Yeah.
All right. I came up with a couple, and I have some good ones and some less good ones, but I want Adam to go first because
Sam, I have some good ones, some less good ones. All right.
What if you guys have the same ones?
Then that's just how in sync we are. Our cycles are the same, and we're conjuring the same quiz questions. That's just how aligned we are. We're placed center together with our display grid life. That got weird also.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Which of these properties is not real in CSS? Interpolate size, text shadow offset, or content visibility?
I'm not
Well,
kidding.
I know content visibility is real.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to say text shadow offset.
That one does sound oddly specific.
Yeah, I'm calling bullshit on that one.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Ding, ding, ding. You guys got it right. Well done.
Expertise.
I'm not kidding you. One of mine was text shadow offset.
Good thing I went first, sucker. You got to adapt.
That was my easy one.
Yeah, that's some beginner shit that I also don't know and still completely guessed on.
Hey, excellent deducing. All right, do you want me to go again, David? Or are you up? Yeah.
All right, I'll go with one. All right. I'm going to go, instead of property, we're going to go with values. Okay? So there is a new value-ish. To us, it's new. To Adam, it's very old. It's the text wrap property. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
In the text wrap property, there are a few values you can provide it. Which one is the fake one? You can give text wrap, no wrap, balance, even, pretty, or stable. Which one is not the real one?
I'm going to say wrap. Sounds too straightforward.
I'm going to say stable. Stable white space?
Is
Wrong.
No?
Adam,
Okay.
you want to fill him in on that?
Oh, I mean, sure. If you're, throw me. I got this.
You're the one
even
who
was the.
That's
Even's
the one
bullshit
where I was
one.
like,
Even was the bullshit one. Yeah. Balance is when it's going to add line breaks to make a block. Pretty is when it makes sure that there's no like orphans or widows. So there's no kind of cliff. There's no dingleberries on your paragraph. And stable is what you can add to a text box area or like a text area that you're or a content editable thing. And that way, while someone's typing, it will resist and sort of do its best to maintain stability for the user so that while they're typing, shit isn't moving around.
Interesting.
And then wrap and no wrap are regular values for, I mean, you do no wrap whenever you don't want it, and then wrap is the opposite. And
wrap and no wrap. Pretty is kind of bullshit because it's just a subjective word to a degree, right? Like,
that's
Totally.
That's actually why I picked this one, because I was like, they're either going to say pretty, or then they're going to do what Robbie did and be like, I bet you one of the obvious ones, isn't it? And I was like, even is one that no one's going to think is like a problem.
Right.
They're going to be like, text balance even. That sounds right.
sure, make it even. too.
yeah.
Yeah,
was.
Every
even,
line.
even in stable, both sound kind of similar.
Right?
I heard them talk about these on syntax one time, but
okay,
like
yeah.
I didn't remember the specifics. So I was like, I've never told it like, you know what? Just wrap, please. Like I feel like I've done like what is it like word break or like for like the other wrap property.
Oh,
whatever.
there's
I always
some
forget what they are.
silly
I have to
ones,
look
yeah.
them up.
So you can
Like-
end up with like the little ellipses at different times or whatever. I don't know. Isn't that
That's-
subtle
yeah.
too?
Like a dash, but then yeah, the truncate thing, like the truncate lines thing that you can't do without like CSS properties that are like deprecated. I forget what they are, but it's like
yeah, that's line clamp.
you,
Dude,
you write them in your
that's
editor,
interrupt
and
this year.
it's like don't do that.
Because you have to make it, you can't do it on a div. You have to do it on a text node or a paragraph. It's WebKit box, overflow hidden, text overflow ellipsis. It's like this combo of junk that, and it also is like kind of
Yeah.
like gradient text where it has to be in a specific order. There's actually a couple of scenarios on the web where order of your properties matter because it's looking for a specific old piece of bullshit that people have been writing for 20 years. And it makes sure that if it recognizes that chunk of junk, that it renders it as people have expected for all these years. And yeah, it's ridiculous. Line clamp is coming out though. And that is, you can literally say line dash clamp 1 and it will clamp the paragraph to one line and ellipse on the end. One property, easy values, and you can even do height. So you could say the height is 200 pixels and will automatically find how many lines can go in there and ellipse the last one. So it's about to be easy. We're about to escape that 20-year-old,
Well, that's nice.
20-year-old turd. Yeah.
Turd. Well, when do we get to escape that turd? Next time I actually have to do that, hopefully.
Hopefully. Oh yeah, or make a progressive enhancement or something. Yeah.
Something of that.
I have to go get my son who just woke up, so we're gonna do the next 5 minutes or so without me. We'll just keep going in
Feels
and
so
out. Chuck and I
empty
will.
without me.
Wow.
Yeah, so BRB.
Yeah.
This is like
There
the
we go.
musical chairs.
Yeah, we just
edition
jump in and out of all
Yeah.
episodes. You didn't realize that? Like, we actually don't tend to do too many of them completely together. It's because we haven't gotten along in years, and it's just awkward, but we keep this thing going, and I don't know, So, like, I tried to steal Adam to, to replace him, and then Robbie's like, I know what you're doing. I don't like this. And so... we quiz things. We can do a couple of hot takes. We can.
I'm impressed the cap is actually metal. I thought it was going to be 3D printed or waxy or something.
yeah.
So I was like gentle with it earlier, but no, it's
Yeah.
heavy.
No,
and
no,
it's
it's
like
real
lead. It's
metal.
like they poured lead in like a real mold. It's super cool.
Yeah. As far as this bottle goes, are you a Guar fan?
I mean, I like watching them on YouTube. I don't know if I'd go. I'm a fan from afar.
Right.
I'm a Guarafar fan. Because I don't want to get sprayed. I'm
Yeah.
too big a wuss to actually go and get covered in whatever it is they're spraying on people.
That's true. Well, I just don't do concerts really anymore because they all start too late for me. And then beyond that, then the headliner is coming on much later. So it's like doors open at 7. Nobody comes on until 8:30. Now you see the first couple of people. Now your headliner's coming on at 11. I'm well past bedtime. I just can't fuck with that anymore.
I just got back from Argentina, like literally 2 days ago. Love Argentina. Love
Oh
Argentinian
man, it looked so
culture.
sweet. That event looked awesome.
There
dude.
was.
I'm
it
so
was.
jealous.
It was awesome. I speak Argentine Spanish.
Oh, nice.
Well, it's a big country, so I speak
Yeah.
Porteño Spanish, Rio Platense, but I am still very much a gringo, or as they would say, a shanky, because they were like, yeah, we're going to do dinner at like 10. And I'm like, because the food is going to be available at 10, because before then we wouldn't eat, because that would be...
Yeah. Then you got to go do a
right?
full asado, right? Did you do?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
we did.
So, and
Yes,
I
I
was
mean, the
always
food's
the one they
incredible.
would give the sweetbreads to. I would have to tell them muy
Yes.
jugoso because
So
because they have amazing meat that they
Yeah.
cook well done though. And I'm like, no,
yes, they do. They cook it
muy
well done,
jugoso.
but it's very good.
It's incredible. It's inexpensive. Yeah, I'm a big fan. I used to go down there all the time for work when I was with Nat Geo. So we were working with nearshore teams and.
It is. It's like they're like the country of like crazy wildlife. You got Tierra del Fuego, Patagonia, with Aconcagua, Izagu Falls. It's like a massive, massive country
that's
full of
the
tons of
falls
cool
too.
stuff.
Did you have a lot of Fernet con Coca?
Yes, I mean you have to. One
Yeesh.
must. We went up to this WeWork in downtown Buenos Aires, right next to the Obelisco, which looks just like the Washington Monument, which everybody from the United States is like, what is the Washington Monument doing here? But it's the Obelisco.
Turns out we
It's like
didn't
on the
invent
30
those. Did you know that the United States of America didn't invent the obelisk?
I don't think it's true, actually. I think George Washington did.
Yeah, he did.
So
He built his
yeah.
own monument before dying.
that's what
He's like, I've got
that's
this
what I
covered.
saw. I was there,
Yeah,
and if brick by brick, good old George.
good old George.
That's how he died.
Jorge,
He was out
you
in
know,
the rain.
in
Jorge,
Argentina.
Jorge. Yeah, as they commonly call him there. Yeah, we were like on the 30 some odd floor of this WeWork, and Buenos Aires is like the New York City of South America. And it's just huge city, super like late, like city never sleeps. And I had to have like a Fernet and Coke as you're like staring out at this like complete panorama, like ceiling to floor windows of the city. And like I'm just like face against the glass, like walking around, and everyone's trying to talk to me, and I'm like, no, I gotta look at this. This is so freaking cool.
Yeah, I'm like, check this out. Have a beverage.
Yeah. And then did asado, went to a parrilla, did all the good Argentinian. Argentinian is how you describe the culture. An Argentine or an Argento is the person from Argentina. Or you can say someone's an Argentine.
You are quite.
Argentina,
You're like a
Argentino.
gaucho.
Oh, definitely not a gaucho.
No. You need that beret, and you carry a knife for your meat, and
sleep. I have a sleep 8 bed. Do you think I'm sleeping outside making my own like coffee on the thing with a knife?
We're jumping way ahead on the whatnot then, so I know what we can get into because.
Oh, there we go.
For sure. I'm all about I like the outdoors, but I don't understand people who camp and if they don't have to, because they like create.
Robbie and I
these
were just talking about this.
Yeah, you create a vacation where you have to go do a bunch of work. You don't have
It's like fajitas. You have to make your own tacos. You're very against that.
Yeah, well, fajitas are assembly. Yeah, so you could see if like I'm on vacation, I don't want to put my bed together and make sure bugs don't eat me, and a bear is definitely going to get me in there, right? Like if I'm in a cabin, bear can't get in a cabin, or at least a much better chance that's not going to happen. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm like, yeah, go out, enjoy the outdoors, and then go back and have a nice cozy place to sleep. Have a little glass of wine around a fire that the resort put together for you.
I don't know. Some of the best sleep I've ever had was laying on the ground in the middle of the woods while you're just completely exhausted, and then you get woken up by a random noise, and then you're like, you know what? I'm so tired. If it gets me, that's just it. It deserved it. It got me. It waited, it prayed, and that's just the circle
your
of life.
Fight or flight instincts are a little off, I think.
No, that was just me. That was so tired that you're just like, accepting that would just be it. And so I camped a lot in my younger days, and I agree with you. Like if I had to go camp now or take my children to go camping, they would not be able to, nor would I would be able to. It would all be like fuzzy memory where you'd be like, I think that goes over there, and you would have to be like the dad pretending like you know what you're doing, but you're like
that's what we all do
20 years
anyway.
removed
Whether you
from
actually
doing
know what
it.
you're doing, we're all pretending anyway. And you always think you can fix the things too. You're like, kid brings you a toy and they're like, Daddy, fix it. It's like, all right, let me go out in the garage and see if I can tinker around here, put some glue on something, make it work.
Yeah, not me. I get a toy and I see it's broken and I'm like,
looks like I'm buying a new one.
Yeah.
Listen, unless
the
that
store
needs
will sell us another one.
unless that's got a grid blowout, I am probably not going to be able to help with this one. Okay.
Fair enough.
Did we talk hot takes at all?
We didn't. No, we started talking about Argentina and then went down that path. Racing. Oh, my headphones went gone for a second, and then they came back. They were like, I'm upset. No, I'm okay. I don't know.
You know what else was gone for a second, but then came back?
Joe Mama?
jQuery.
Rails.
Oh, Rails.
Oh, yeah.
PHP went away somehow.
Yeah,
It's back now.
First hot take.
Yeah.
Rails or Laravel?
I'm going to go Laravel because I once had a job interview where they told me I was going to be building UI, front-end development, CSS, JavaScript. And then I had to write all this freaking Ruby in the job interview. None of it was JavaScript at all. Not a bit of it. And I'm literally looking at them, and then they're looking back at me like, huh? And I'm like, what the I'm like, you said we talked about styling a website in the last one, and this one's got Ruby, and now we've got to write a sorting algorithm that connects out to this AWS bucket through this Rails thing. And it was like the most embarrassing interview I've ever had, where the guy felt so bad for me that he kind of started talking me through the answer, because I think he didn't want that like dead air of like this guy doesn't know what's going on. And so he was literally like, oh yeah, you know what it is. He was like, and I remember he was trying to talk about like the sorting algorithm. He's like, that one would be J to the K, and then K goes to the T. And I was literally like, so
God,
where's the door of which I leave?
I just say no. Like if someone asks me to do a thing like that, I'm like, nah, dog. Yeah. Like I've been writing front end for so long. There's no way. I do not need a sorting algorithm. If I do, I npm install sorting algorithms. So like,
even though I admire Ruby, I admire Rails in a lot of ways, and I've emulated multiple parts of their stack, especially Active Record seems to be one of their most famous and well-applied computer science concepts for data. I choose PHP because the last time I was writing it, I think it was like 4 or 5, and I was making classes and I was starting to explore it as a bigger language than I was capable of at the time. And then I haven't touched it since. But I remember a lot of it, just the language itself. And so I feel like if I was to go into Laravel, I'd feel a little bit more at home, and I'd be excited about what PHP is offering now. And I would sort of be like a kid in a candy shop. And then Flux looks cool, so I definitely give Caleb Porzio's UI library a shot. It's a stack I'd like to poke. Yeah.
Yeah, now that you've both said PHP, let me announce our special secret guest, DHH, joining us right now. No, I'm just
I don't think he'd have any shade about that, though. I think, like, it's another bro with an older, kind of guy.
He's a craft. Yeah, he's like, look, anybody can make a cool website. The stack isn't as important as someone understanding their tools and being passionate and spending the time to finesse the corners. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. It's batteries included. I think it follows a lot of his like ideologies around operating fast and not solving problems until you're actually faced with them and you have some success, right? Like, instead of like front loading scaling issues that may never occur.
Yep, that's never done well for me. It's one of those things that feels so good to do. You're like, I'm going to solve a problem before I have it. I'm just going to go ahead and stand on the shoulders of giants and trust that this entire thing is going to work for my case. And I'm just going to jump ahead to as if this thing is in a Megatron hosting provider. And then all you do is you're just like, why are there so many abstractions? I just want, solve the problems you have. I think that's the best tip, and to get something quickly, especially.
So it sounds like you're being nice about both of those things, though. So Rails or Laravel.
This just in, Whiskey.fund is now open for all your merch needs.
That's right, Robbie. We're hearing reports of hats, sweaters, and t-shirts, as well as a link to join our Discord server.
What's a Discord server?
Just read the prompter, man.
Hit subscribe, leave us a review on your favorite podcast app, and tell your friends about our broadcast.
It really does help us reach more people and keeps the show growing.
All right, back to your regularly scheduled programming.
This is a funny one, though, Robbie, I guess. So when when coding, Cursor or Pair AI?
Oh, no, man. You're talking to the wrong one, man.
He's got an IDX shirt on, bro. Yeah, I'm going to touch
someone
my
works
shirt
for a
just
code
thinking
editor.
about it. This is what I mean, though. There's a battle royale happening in this terms of like AI-enhanced code editors, especially ones built on VS Code. There's a bunch.
Mm-hmm. Here's my little hot take then. So IDX is IDX.dev for anyone listening, is code editor through Google, and it does AI stuff. Sure. Yes, AI. I like AI stuff. I do lots of AI stuff. But one of the things that I think is most interesting about this guy right here is actually one little file that we ship with all of our workspaces. And like when I first started working at one job, they gave us a 60-page document to set up our work machine. And the beautiful
it was a whole week.
thing,
It was a week of time, right? Yeah, you got a week to set up your dev.
Sure.
No, it was like a whole life, because what ended up happening is you had to set up all these dev machines, run all these installers, and like nothing ever worked. So then you would have to go and update the doc and then say, hey, like now it works this way. And so the next person who comes along, they're better off from you. But the problem is that here are X amount of developers all setting up a machine at different points in time through basically different instructions. And then we're all supposed to work on the same project. Like, that did not go very well. So like every single time we would do anything, I'd be at someone's desk being like, I get this error. And they're like, no, I don't have that error. And our entire dev environment was completely different at all points in time. So with IDX, one of the things we do is we base our whole system off of Nix. Like Nix OS is an open source system that basically there are three tenets: is reproducibility, immutability, and declarative, I think. Okay. And so within there's a whole system where you say like, I want Python 3.13, I want Node 20, I want this one, I want that, and you declare it in a file, and then it builds it. And then everything is so immutable and declarative that when you rebuild your environment, we actually wipe your whole project partition clean, and then we just rebuild and throw everything down on there. So it's basically like a new function, immutable function call as an environment. And so anyone who has that file is like up to go. And I didn't know, this is past 5 for me, by the way, so I didn't think I would be doing like a work pitch while I'm drinking whiskey. But to me, my hot take is that I think that with this whole resurgence of AI editors, that we do focus a whole lot on AI, but AI is like takes you far from where it has the potential to like be your co-pilot and like work alongside you and help you with these plans. But like there's still so much work involved in like making sure like the foundation work that I don't think can be sort of forgotten about. Like just getting something spun up on a local machine. Like how many times have you been like, I want to try out that thing, and you don't because you're like, okay, well, my version of this thing is different and I need that to be the same for this other project to work on a machine, and I am not installing a version manager, and you know what?
Well, you should install a version manager.
No, see, that's the thing that's beautiful about so like this, you don't need a version manager. You literally can create a new machine or rebuild or something like that. And then that's less tooling, less overhead, less concept on the machine.
But then it's using a version manager.
It is actually using a versioned registry. So the way Nix works is not just a operating system, but Nix also, this is something that took me like the longest time to understand. Everything with Nix, and it's not like the longest time to understand because it's hard. It's because it's one of those things you refuse to understand despite the amount of times people tell you this. So like with NPM, you can publish a package has a version, and then those packages granularly update. But NPM is a registry. Imagine if NPM was a versioned registry itself, and once you publish a package to that registry, that was it. And then you had to wait for another version of a registry of NPM to come out for you to publish your package version. So the benefit there is that if you pin your registry into a Nix registry, you're basically saying, I can guarantee for everyone on my team that if you state this package name, you will get this package version. It's no like, oh, I pulled this down and it's some like, oh, this had a pure dependency of this and this had of that. And you get the cascading madness with dependencies at times. With Nix, it's not that way. It's each version of the registry. So that way you don't need version management tools. You just say, we talk to Nix version 23.11 or whatever.
So is this kind of like a container level registry then? So you kind of like think about a container, each container version has its own registry version, and so just everything comes with that, like environment version to a degree?
You could think about it that way. Nix is very different than, I don't say very different, but is not containers. The way actually, and I get this question a lot because you have like GitHub Codespaces that uses dev containers, and then we use Nix. And so people are kind of like, well, what's the difference? And then I actually, I had to answer this question like when I was in Argentina, and I did like a really bad job of answering it. I was kind of like, you got like a thing over here, and that is got that thing, and then you got this one over here and it doesn't. And everyone's like, okay. And so I had this engineer who was like, he explained this to me, and he was like, think about dev containers like node modules, or like containers in general, like node modules. You're basically taking the gigabytes of files and you're saying like, let's put them all down on this big thing, the container. And so it's gigabytes or however. And then you can take that and you can move it wherever you want. And then it's nice shrink wrapped. It's ready to go when it gets plugged into its spot. That's like the benefit of containers. You can really say, hey, we put everything in here. With Nix, a Nix file, in our case, we have our own abstraction called dev.nix. That is like package JSON. It does not contain all your dependencies and everything like that. It's just the declarative, like I want Node 20. I want Python, whatever. I want Postgres. I want Docker, because you can even manage Docker within Nix. From there, you're basically just saying, hey, when you run this whole Nix build environment, pull from this registry version, just like I'd do an npm install, and then now it's build this immutable, declarative, reproducible environment for everyone. But I didn't have to bring all of the big containers over with me, or I didn't have to put everything into the container all at once. If that makes sense.
So can I fork this and then get a bunch of funding to build the same thing?
I don't know why you would mention
It's
that.
ours now. We could try.
very interesting
We're
idea.
both a little old, though. We're not in the
Yeah.
YC demographic anymore. So this episode is brought to you by Y Combinator.
I will say,
We'll give you money for any fucking thing.
properly forking something is not easy. I remember so many times in my career where like you have a fork of something and then you just can't get it synced, and then you kind of look at the code you have in your fork and then you do that way of like, how much is in this fork is worth doing all of the git magic and gymnastics I need to do to get it into main versus just like stashing these files somewhere and then just applying like, oh, I repulled the fork and applied it. Oh no, who saw that? And so
Right,
forking
right.
is
Forking's
hard.
That's Robbie's
I would
favorite
always do
way
it.
to
Yeah.
deal with merge conflicts is to just take his
anytime there's like
changes,
more
copy,
than
paste.
one thing, I'm just like, nope, I'm gonna like copy everything I changed, just reset it to the main and like just apply it all again, because it's just not worth it. And I know there's a lot of different like, hacks around that to where you can like not have to make it as hard, but still it's just like, it's just
You
doesn't
should
seem
learn
worth it.
You should learn Git. I think that in
Should
this
you use
new,
Rebase or Merge though?
Oh man, that's a great question.
No, it's not. There's only one right answer, unless you're not senior.
Oh, you're gonna say Rebase then, aren't you?
Why would you think that?
Only people who say Rebase are people who are like, oh, there's only one right answer. I've never met a Merge person who's like, oh, there's only one right answer. Merge
That's
people are
because the
literally
merge
like,
people don't understand Rebase.
Because the
and they're
merge
just like,
people
well, I
take
don't know
the
if
first
I knew
button
you were
that
gonna say
GitHub
that.
gives them, and they never learn anything else. That's what the merge people are.
Merge people, here's a little spicy take. I like rebasing as well. Merge people, though, are people who want to get stuff done. Rebase people are people who want to make sure that everything looks, I'm sounding like Adam right now. Everything looks good. My L sock goes on my L foot, and my R sock goes on my right foot, and everything just is totally
This
fine and really
string
good.
is a string, and then it's still a string, and now it's still a string, and guess what? It's still a string, but ignore the last little part where it wasn't a string for a second.
Yeah, we type coerce for
string.
like 1 second in order to get it string true to true true. or
Rebasing
something like
is nice, and it
Yeah.
looks really great, but I do think it's funny that the right decision, the de facto right decision, requires pushing, using a force push to get
Well,
it working. So I
let me
do
ask you
think
this.
there's
Force
a bit
with
of a
lease.
code smoke.
Force
you're-
with lease, by the way.
If you're writing
just force.
a paragraph of like just English and you write a sentence, right? After you write that sentence, do you say, hey, I wrote that sentence? Because if not, rebase.
No. But you would also like merging and squashing is also a very. I think that if you don't want to rebase, you can merge
squashing
and
is
squash.
still rebasing.
Yes,
So
but
there's-
you don't
there's
have
nuance.
to rebase.
Yeah.
I'm talking about as far as practical use case goes, because I used
Sure,
to do work
okay.
on the Angular team, and it was a rebase culture. Like it was scary. Every time I didn't care what my code did. I could be changing a README. I could be like doing whatever, like all advanced stuff. Anytime I had to do a rebase, I was always like, oh no, because I was like, this is gonna be bad. And then like Jeff Cross, who works on Narwhal now, like of NX fame, he used to sit next to me, and I'd literally be like, Jeff, I can't do it. Jeff, I can't do it. And he would like sit down and be like, we're gonna make it through this, buddy. And he'd be like, I'm like, I can hit the enter button now, and he's like, you can do it.
I have a
I've
Git,
had those
I have a Git
moments.
feature request. Okay, so in my experience, rebasing is particularly difficult because it should be called rebases, because it's generally multiple rebases that you have to do, right? It's not just like, because what Robbie's saying is he kind of like to pull latest, like ignore all this shit that I've done, Git for 1 second. Would you just pull latest, ignore everything I've done, and then replot my shit on top? What it does is it does every single commit. It like kind of does a rebase check or something. And in case there's a merge conflict, it gives you this moment in this like sliver moment. And I'm like, look, I don't care. I want to pull. So my request is I'd like a rebase that kind of works like what Robbie's describing, which is just stash everything I have, all of my commits, just act like they don't exist. Pull latest. Get me back up to fast forward and then replop on these things one by one. And I estimate in that scenario, there's way less conflicts than the amount of conflicts I get typically rebasing. That's the frustrating part with the rebase is you hit rebase and it says conflict. And you're like, what do you mean conflict?
Yeah.
I'm working on a file that's like totally somewhere else. And it goes, no, you're not. And you're like, oh, come on.
So I think this is completely uneducated on my part, and you guys might know better. But I heard the Primeagen say this, so it's probably true. So
That's
there's
true,
like
it's true. Where are we
likely
talking?
true.
there's a re flag basically that you can just say like, if I fix these conflicts already, just take how I did that and apply it to like the next 30 commits that you're going to tell me are a problem.
learns through doing that. So the first few times you have that crap in there.
Yeah, so then you don't have to go like, I just fixed this, because it's like it just applies that, which is like still not exactly what you're asking for, but it's like better. And I've been scared to try it, so I haven't tried it myself. But I've heard
That's
that
like when you just take mine the whole time. You're like, dash, take mine, fuck theirs. Like, I want my code, whatever I've done in my
the actual flag.
I have done that and been so screwed by that where you're like, all my stuff is great. And then you like overlook something and then you like check in some of those like Git lines where you're like, where it's like, you know, there's like, yours. And you're like,
oops.
So Git Butler, Git CLI, GitHub Desktop, or Tower? How y'all rolling?
It depends.
CLI.
So I use GitHub Desktop everywhere I can, which means not at work. So I use Tower at work and GitHub Desktop otherwise, because we use GitHub for like, you know, everything because it's where open source is. But then like for work code, it's not. And it's scary. So I use Tower.
I use command line for everything because I got whipped into shape many years ago and forced down
after you
path.
tortoised and after you Maven or not Maven, what was the one start with an Mercurial? So you tortoised, you Mercurial.
SVN,
I used Beanstalk was an app.
I used that too
for Sublime, I think it was, or what? Not Sublime, Subversion. Yeah, like Subversion.
That was back when I was writing PHP.
PHP in the wild, wild west. So what's funny is that I don't care that much. Yeah. I care about consistency. So if you merge commit, everybody does that. If you rebase, everybody does that kind of thing. I do think
on the team.
It's a litmus test. Yeah, for sure, exactly. It's a litmus test to a degree, though, if you are willing to rebase or something, in my mind. And if you don't understand the get foo, boot.dev has a Git, learn Git, and advanced learn Git.
Not a code won't get you any percent off.
No, Primeagen. Primeagen has a course on there about learning Git, so it's actually funny.
Yeah, slash prime, I think, is the actual one, or is it Primeagen?
Slash prime.
I think it's prime.
Yeah, he makes them easy.
You know, I have a hot take about what you just said, where you were saying that you're like, it's just consistency. That's all that matters. That is literally what people say when they deeply hold an opinion, but want to hedge a little on their opinionated nature, where they're like, listen, I think this is the one right way you should ever do anything. And if you don't, I think less of you as a developer. However, consistency is the key. But if you had to consistently be in a merge convit environment, I'm pretty sure you would go home and
I've been there as a consultant.
You would be.
I have been in many places that I may or may not want to be or completely agree with. But here's the funny thing, David, is I definitely have been in that place where I'm like, I use these as tools to judge to a degree and like have some sort of false sense of superiority because like, I picked this thing and I liked it the best in these other projects, so apparently it'll make every project that same like panacea amazingness. And turns out that's a recipe for disappointment. So in my now older years, I really don't honestly I have preferences for myself, but in the grand scheme of things, I don't care that much. These are all tools in my mind. Like I'm using these tools, and if it's not my favorite hammer, that's cool, but I still got to get the job done. Earlier, I would pick Rails because I'm very interested in Rails right now and going down that path. But honestly, if you were like, Adam's like, hey, I'm starting on this project and I want your help and let's do this thing. And he's like, I picked Laravel. I won't be like, well, fuck that. If you won't pick Rails with me, and I'm not helping you.
Whatever.
No.
Establish your dominance and shows how pro you are by shitting on something.
I
bro.
just
Come on,
do
that's
that.
what everybody does. That's how you quick rise, man.
No, I'll just do that by chugging a bottle of whiskey with you, which I have done, and then I'll just arm wrestle you after. So.
It's not the big decisions that people can't get behind. I feel like everyone can get behind big decisions, like, hey, we're gonna use Laravel, not Rails, or we're gonna use Next.js instead of Next or whatever. Everyone's gonna be like, okay,
because they hate themselves.
But if you put in like someone's like, hey, we're kind of a
Are you drinking Fresca right now, Adam?
He is drinking
I've
Fresca.
switched to the mix. Yeah, so I did the straight whiskey.
You mixed it.
I had a couple fingers of that. Yeah, so I had like 4 fingers of just straight whiskey. Then
That's
I
what she
dropped
said.
in.
Oh, okay.
This is streaming crap. Sorry.
Oh, oops, can't edit that out. And then I dripped in some purified water in the next one. Got a alternative flavor palette, and now I'm on the whiskey just to sort of like cleanse the palate. The kids are coming home. I don't want to have whiskey on the breast or peach Fresca on the breast.
Oh,
Ooh,
now we got a
peach
special
Fresca?
guest. Every time a dog comes on, it
Oh, that's
must
a dog.
be addressed.
Oh,
Yeah, he thinks he's a cat though.
this is his
And
interview.
What's the dog's name?
Jake.
Jake. Oh, whoa.
Jake the dog. Hey, and Finn the human.
Jake
right
the
on,
snake.
bro.
I wanted
Yep.
a Frenchie. So I have 2 dogs, and I have 200 pounds
Kool-Aid
worth
man.
of dogs.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she is. I have a Kool-Aid man. I have a dog who I call the Kool-Aid man because I have these French
Bust through the wall?
doors that are right there, and then anytime I do anything, she will just like plow through, and she's like, "Oh yeah," and it's just like
That's amazing.
no matter how many days it happens, it still scares me so much. And then I have these like locks up at the top. And then I one time like locked it because like I didn't want kids running in. And then I just heard her go, and the door just stopped. And I felt so deeply bad in my soul. So now those doors never get shut because I never know when she's gonna come and pop in. And I'm like, she's a 6-year-old Bernese Mountain Dog. The last thing she needs is like
She
a
can knock
concussion.
that door
so-
down. She really wants. Let's be honest.
She is. She's the light one.
Freight
She's
trains.
85.
Yeah.
I have my young guy. He's 115 pounds.
Jeez.
Oh, wow.
He's a beast.
Have they been
like a third of
swimming
Robbie's
around
weight.
with all the rain that's going on?
To get them to go outside in the rain is like you literally have to like
Yeah,
"Come
why are
on,
Benices so scared of like weather and stuff?
we can do this,
They're
let's
mountain
go."
dogs.
Yeah,
It's weird.
they don't like adverse weather. They like the snow, but they don't like adverse conditions of anything at all.
Yeah, ours are the same. We came home to like 100 poops in the house after, but we left them with a dog sitter, but she just like could not get them to go outside to go to the bathroom. I was just
interesting.
like, all right, this is not great. But
Do you know that like a Roomba, like vacuum or any one of those? One time my 6-year-old Bernese Mountain Dog, when she was little, she pooped inside, and the Roomba went just right over. And then the Roomba was like, it was like a Humvee. It was just literally like, and like just, got it real good. Like those things are made for, you would think that they couldn't do it, but no, it got it. And then it was like, you know what I'm going to do now?
It
got
sucked it
myself,
up?
it didn't suck it up. It just spread
just
it
got on it.
all over.
like-
And you know what? They're very good at getting through the whole room. So we came downstairs.
good
and
coverage.
It was, yeah. And I was like, it did the job.
It did what
Can't be
was
mad.
asked. But
Yeah,
did you
exactly.
clean it or did you replace it?
Oh yeah, this is like the actual carpet in the basement.
Oh,
of my
right.
old
But
house.
the Roomba. I would have thrown that shit
Oh, the
away.
Roomba was done.
Yeah,
it,
that was it.
It
There's
didn't.
no
It
way
had
you're
no
getting it
will
out of
to
there.
live.
Yeah,
it was asking me to be let. It was like I can't
Remove
live
my
anymore.
battery.
Please.
This
Yes.
smells like shit.
Yeah, I had to put the Roomba down. It asked
Yeah.
for it to be over.
That makes sense. That's a bummer.
So I do want to find out, because we only have a few minutes left, what's up with CSS4 and CSS5?
Oh yeah. Okay, nice. That's a good question. So we're pretty much done creating the sections of those. There's a whole community group called the CSS Next community group. We've been bucketing these things and putting them into different spaces for months. We went through every single CSS property and decided if it was 3, 4, 5, or if it wasn't even ready for a bucket yet. That's pretty official. I
CSS
can give a
6.
CSS 6. It's gonna be there. I mean, it's kind of we're at the like the tipping point of it right now. And then what emerged out of that we didn't expect was everyone's like, well, what are we going to do with the CSS3 shield? And we're like, well, you should burn it. That thing should never get used again. And they're like, well, cool, we're great. Yeah, burn it. But hey, what do we show instead? And we're like, I don't know. And so we've been working on our logo. So now we got a logo. We have a CSS logo that's trying to be the best logo that it can inside of something like VS Code. So right next to JS, you'd have a CSS logo. So it looks like it's in the family. Same with TS and WebAssembly and a couple of other ones. And then we're also coming up with these additional logos that have numbers on them. And all that work is really going good. We have a PR that we're about to open up on the proper CSS working group repo, which claims that there will never be a CSS4, but we will make an addendum that said they were wrong 10 years ago. There is a CSS4 and a CSS5. Here's a new document published on the specs that describe these new buckets. And so they're basically like, we didn't want to do the work, or we didn't think anyone would care about the work. Turns out people care about the work. We don't want to do it. Y'all want to do it? You want to do it? Oh, great. Here, they're doing it over here, and they're going to bring it in. And so that's kind of where we're at. It's about to be brought in. And yeah, it'll help us talk about stuff. It'll help us make cool posters or make good
t-shirts, stickers, or hats.
Can I get a sticker or shirt yet? That's the important question.
The base logo just kind of, and I wouldn't even say it's like 100% done, but the base logo just hit a very stable release candidate this week. And the logo with numbers is undergoing multiple revisions. We've had an RC1 and an RC2. I really like the RC2. It's kind of like the same. It's like a square. It's got CSS in it and it has a number at the top with a long shadow.
Is there a badge we can put on our websites? You remember like back in the day where it would be WC3
HTML5
correct or whatever it would be that you'd put on. You'd be like, I'm not using random divs, but now I am using random divs again. So it's like, comes around full circle. But it used to be the thing where you were like, this is not a table layout website. It's W3C certified using real HTML.
Yeah, they looked at it.
Yeah. But it made me feel like I was doing
the HTML validator.
Yes.
Oh my God, yeah. I got graded on that in college. Like whether your HTML isn't validated, you're going to lose points.
I'm impressed that they did that. They went as far as that.
Yeah, me too.
You went to a good school. Must not have been in Virginia.
It's like Tomato Square. I think some kids just arrived, but I got some time. Let me see if I can pull up the GitHub.
I didn't know if your hard stop was like important meeting that could not be missed.
Well, he was
like,
thinking this was going to be really...
Wait, I do have a meeting at 3 p.m. Yes, you're right.
Oh my gosh. Well,
I do have a work thing. Here's the repo with the status of the logo-ish. Oh shit, that is so funny. Oh,
so
Whiskey will do that
folks
to
at home, it is github.com/CSS-next/CSS.
We'll do this again because we got to like none of the questions I wrote down, so we can do it.
We didn't go to cereal is soup.
Will you send us whiskey this time though? Next time, like,
whoa,
yeah,
that would be
let's
really
do
good.
it.
Like, are you bad at CSS and whiskey choices? That's what I want to know. I want to be surprised for once. I'm always doing the procurement of, and what if Robbie and I, what are we going to send to them?
I think we should do a CSS4 whiskey barrel pick.
Okay.
Let's make CSS cool again.
Will Google pay for it?
Let's put the CSS logo on some whiskey bottles and ship them to everyone we know.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Is a good idea. It's kind of like the coffee folks. They're like, JavaScript is really cool. People love saying nil and null and shit. So let's make a coffee brand. It ships out. It says null and shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Terminal coffee.
Yeah.
Terminal coffee. Is that the brand?
I mean, the branding
and they're all
is
retired
good,
now. So
yeah, they're all retired. They have Lambos.
It's a legit
they have orange
play.
Lambos.
I know. I'm making fun of them, but obviously I'm a little jelly. So
yeah. You just want to write some Go code so you can have like a shell store, right? Like they did. It's like shell in to order. I just want people to
respect me that I actually write a code language. Oh my goodness.
So terminal UIs, right? Do you have opinions on TUIs and like
on TUIs? Yeah, TUIs, GUIs, and NUIs. Yeah,
I've got threes.
TUIs are cool because like they've come back. I'm like into it now. I didn't really get it until like there was a reference to like how much business is still run on TUIs. And I remember when I worked for an airline like 25 years ago, and that's what it was. It was like a 1970 terminal, and you had all these keystrokes to get around and do random shit.
Especially if you're Southwest.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, exactly. Southwest is on the TUI. So it's like, oh yeah, that's kind of cool. There's whole like library. At least the terminal app is in Go. And it uses, I forget the name of the like TUI library, but it's like Candy something, or I don't know. But it's really neat actually. And they were able to like do these layouts and all this stuff in that. Like that's kind of cool. It's not CSS, but it is thinking about UIs in a different context.
UIs, we can't get around them. People want to think they're dumb, but it's like a distinct. I saw someone the other day tweet it. It's unfair when a service has good design. It's just unfair.
Yeah, it's just unfair.
And I was like,
it's
wrong.
The standard.
Yeah.
Well, but you have conversely, like there are some things that become so necessary that in spite of themselves, they do really well, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, the initial
Sponsored
Google
by
search.
AWS.
Yeah, sponsored by AWS.
Yeah, sponsored by AWS.
Yeah.
You know, if
Exactly.
Craigslist ever updated their UI, I'm pretty sure they go bankrupt in like the matter of
people
hours.
free.
I don't
Oh,
think
yeah.
so
Yeah.
because, like, here's the thing: anybody spending real AWS money does not use the console to manage any of
I say
their
Craigslist.
infrastructure.
He said Craigslist.
Yeah.
Oh,
they're-
Craigslist.
but-
yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, if
But I
Craigslist
agree.
ever
Everybody's
changes the
pinging
look,
APIs,
people are
yeah.
like, I'm being fished.
Oh.
This isn't real.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. Craigslist is like
I'm
it's
gonna,
like it's
I'm
a
gonna do the open source
industry.
Craigslist that isn't ugly. Maybe.
I think
Yeah,
they're
should
using
try that.
Next.js, though, aren't they?
Yeah, 15. It's bleeding edge.
That
too.
makes
and,
everything
and,
good. Yeah, that's a- yeah.
React compiler and server
just ask
components
Dax.
and
Yeah.
yeah, just ask Dax. That's not his current.
They're like it's a
sponsor.
for loop and a PHP script. They're like that's what we're using.
I've got two things before Adam can go. First of all, yeah, I want to recognize that. Did you see that banter between Guillermo and Dax, where he was like, Guillermo
Yeah.
said like Dax's new sponsor, Cloudflare.
Have you listened to their podcast where he talks about it?
Not
'Cause,
yet.
Oh my God, you got to. I just listened to
yeah,
it today.
came out like 2 days ago or something, and I it's been in my queue, so I really want to. But yeah, he puts this post and is like, "Motherfucker, are you talking about having like paid sponsorships right now? Like how much drama with Vercel that has been?" And then he's like, "Well, you know, that was a little rash, and how about we both delete our tweets if you want?" And then nothing happened, so that got left. So there's that beef there. But Adam, have you ever traveled with a guitar or banjo?
I've driven with guitars and banjos. I have skateboards and one wheels. I would though. I have a hard shell case that would be capable of traveling.
Would
with
you
such
check
things.
it
Yeah.
or carry it on?
I would.
Yeah.
Well, I think they'd let you carry on a guitar, right? They're kind of respectful.
They
for
do,
those.
but that guy is a dick. Everyone's like, you took up the entire fucking thing.
I'm
up
gonna
top.
be that
true.
guy.
I'll be in
It's gonna be
business
hard.
class. I'll be in business.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
won't matter.
there
I'll
you
be
go.
pre-seated looking at you on my cell phone with my headphones going, just walk.
Yeah.
Just walk on by. That's
I brought
my
3 guitars.
I think that's
I
what
brought-
you're
and then
saying
All
is-
of it's full.
I should upgrade, and then I can do whatever I want because I just need it one
Yeah.
way. Going to Virginia, I have a banjo that my brother gave me, but it's right-handed. First of all, I can't play
Maybe
the guitar.
just ship it.
I can't.
Ship it anyway, like just ahead of time. Just ship it UPS.
I felt like trying to do that was almost worse. Like, what kind of packaging would I have to get? What would it cost? Because it'll be really big. At that point, like, pay extra on the airline, you know? I don't know.
It sounds like the beginning of a song where like you start your monologue, and then Adam starts the.
Today's episode
I'm getting the
was
vibe that this
sponsored
meeting was
by-
not that important.
I told them I'll be right there. I told them I'll be right
Do they know this is live streaming right now? They're all watching
know.
it. They're like,
Yeah.
you play banjo.
Yeah, Penny is smart enough to probably know where I am. But it's going to be fun.
It's
We're
for a
talking
good-
about data tables, a data list, a data
Ooh.
table. Here, I'm going to make this relevant.
Okay.
That way, when I show up, I'm like, I was just
Can you
talking
just
with the
patch
community
us
about
into
this.
the meeting?
Yeah.
And we'll just all chat about it.
yeah, can you just like, yeah, exactly, bring up and
Yeah.
share
We
your
want to make
meeting?
a proper data list, like how many, or data table. How many times you made a data table? You want to sort it. You want to filter
Yeah.
it. You want all these kind of headlines. You basically, the table element is great at showing 10 pieces of data. Yeah. As soon as it's more than 10, it's a piece of shit, and we want to fix that. We'd like you to be able to show more than 10 pieces of data in a meaningful and accessible way that can be paginated, that can be filtered and sorted without a ginormous library, as well as like virtualized lists. So that's what the meeting's about. It should be kind of cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I mean,
let
that seems like a valid
Let me ask a
problem.
related question. What does it do if you have 100 items, you paginate, and you click the next page? Does it scroll to the top?
It's virtualized.
I would imagine it scrolls to the top. That's pretty normal for pagination when you click next, but I don't know, maybe maintain
Okay.
scroll position. and
Because I
just
have that
hot
problem
swaps the
in my
nodes. I don't
app
know.
at work right now.
Oh, you do? Oh, well,
Yeah.
You just
I have
don't
100
have
items,
it.
and I was
Scroll up
like,
or-
page 2, and it's like, you're still at the bottom. And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, I can manually scroll it, but like, that sounds
no, it's
gross.
bad.
Like, yeah.
There's
No,
a great
you-
JS
you-
API for that. After render, you can just say scroll to this element or scroll to 0 of the data. I mean, that's not a hard problem to solve, basically, is what I'm saying.
No, I can do it. I feel like I shouldn't have to.
you shouldn't, which you know, and I'm about to make your life harder if you want to do this, but I've done this before and it was not easy. I used to work on the Firestore console back in the day, and so we had to be able to handle like, you know, whatever amount of records. And so basically, yes, what Adam's talking about would be of great use. So having something that's already virtualized, check, you need that. But the thing that's very difficult is no, we don't have like pages of data. You can just scroll. And so you chunk. And so you have to do loading chunk, which is cursing. And so you have to be like from this one to this one. And then when you get to a certain intersection observer at some point, you're like, okay, it's time to load the next chunk. And so you kind of have like your chunk needs to have enough buffer that you're kind of guessing that, an eager scroller is going to beat you. You don't want to chunk that much to beat an eager scroller, but a normal scroller, even like somewhat fast of a scroller, you kind of figure out what your chunk level is on that.
Well, not to throw anyone under the bus, but that was my suggestion, and I was told it must be paginated with page numbers, not scrolled.
Okay. Well, you know what?
And
URL
so that
state
throws
and
that
stuff
out
like
the
that
window.
too,
You
though.
live and you learn, and then you get loves.
Yeah,
You
man.
know,
So
that's
here's
what
my
mom
spicy
always
take.
said.
I'll leave with is I've written so many virtualized list views, so many, and still to this day, the best API and the best one I've ever used was by Windows 8 on their WinJS framework for the Windows 8 platform, and it was called the list view. It is seriously still, and it was made to work on really low performing hardware. The API in it is absolutely delightful. It had multiple ways to integrate with it, but I always went the programmatic way and would just like build my nodes, and it would pass you data. You returned with a template, and it would already create a placeholder for you. It would create skeletons for you. You didn't have to worry about that shit. It knew that it wasn't ready, and it was just virtualized, so you could spin it forever on low hardware, and the hardware was just like, I'm not drawing anything. I'm a moron, and you're going really fast. So I'm not even going to call the calls that ask to render this thing. And so then eventually as it slows down, it decides that it's in a good state, and it would ask you to render, and you would return DOM nodes, put them right. Dude, it was amazing. It could do grouped list views. It could do list views. It could do like lists like lists. It could do groups. It was extremely flexible. And then it also had semantic zoom, SESO. You could just pinch and see the whole thing. Dude, anyway, I'm going to leave that as a spicy. I haven't seen a better list view implementation since then. And honestly, the first time I ever saw React was React saying, we can be your infinite list. And I tried it, and that was the thing I thought it could be the best at in terms of its component model and the way that it did virtual DOM. Is I was like, you know what? This is a strong use case for this thing. And then people started building websites with it, and I got real pissed. So anyway, and then people make...
All right, so that's what you're going to plug before we end, right? Is WinJS list view. Anything else you want to plug?
WinJS list view. Everybody go try that.
Don't build sites with React. Build it with WinJS list view. That's what Adam wants you to know.
Oh, man. There were so many hot topics we didn't get to that I wanted to bring up. Like, why does JS get all the tooling? CSS has... Or not... It gets all the money. Like, there's millions of dollars being tossed into JS tooling. Those are on my list.
We should do this again, like, honestly, next week. We'll talk. But we can do a part two.
We can do a part two.
All right, real talk. All right, I'm going to go and be responsible. It's 13 minutes after.
Cool, yeah.
Smell y'all later, thanks. That's fine.
Oh, God. Okay.
So on
that was great. That was great.
Yeah, is there anything you would like to plug, David, before we end? Is there a podcast that you record at all that people can find?
No, not at all. Not one you want to hear.
Right.
No, definitely
basically
not
practice.
If you're bad at CSS and you want to continue to be bad at CSS, then come join the Bad at CSS podcast.
I would say that it's very hopefully you don't take offense to this, similar to what we do here.
Oh no, there's no offense taken.
And that it's pretty unstructured. There's some technical content, but it's just you and Adam shooting the shit, having fun. It's very entertaining. I've listened to most of them at this point, so
every now and then you get a serious guest on, and then you're like, okay, we got to get this on rails.
It's
Eric
Meyer. We better get it together.
Yes, like when Eric and Estelle showed up, you're like, okay, all right, here's the script, and you're like, actually they were phenomenal, but yeah, and there's a couple more that I have in the hopper and that I need to get through that I'm very excited about. We had Miriam Suzanne on the other week, and that was just like an absolute joy. That was one where I was like, put my best face on because, oh my God, that was like a masterclass.
Yeah, we're not that serious. I've tried to get Brendan Ike on here, and he doesn't reply to me, so.
You gotta reach out. You never know. Every now and then they're gonna be like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's do it. So you just gotta reach
be persistent.
Out. Yeah, exactly. So you got whiskey in there. Eventually, one person's going to be like, well, I do like whiskey.
And
I do like web.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, related to the drama we talked about, we sent Guillermo whiskey, and he ghosted us and never came on the podcast.
Yeah, that's true. That was how many
should have sent him
assistants?
Fernet.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we sent him, he said he liked Japanese whiskey. We sent him a cool one.
That's really good.
And... He was like, actually, I realized you guys maybe shit on React a lot. Like, he didn't say that, but he was like, I'm busy. I can't Like, well, he didn't even say anything.
He didn't say
His,
anything.
like,
His personal
secretary.
assistants. We went
Yeah.
through 2 personal assistants. That's how long we tried to make this work with him.
You didn't get through my personal assistants?
We did,
they didn't work in
and
contact with
it was very immediate. They were like, "Here is his social security number, credit card numbers." Like,
This is
he's
what I tell
very
them to do with
accessible.
everyone. I said,
Yeah.
listen,
Be
anytime
accommodating.
anyone asks any questions about me at all, schedule,
Yeah.
favorite color, just send them all my personal identifiable information. That way I won't have to put up with all these questions later.
Yeah, I trust
Yeah.
people. You know, they could just find the information about me, my net
Listen,
worth,
it's
everything.
all on the dark
Yeah.
web. You know, it's already
Yeah,
out there.
that's
You know what I
true.
mean? If I gave you my social security number, like, do you think that you're going to make the effort to impersonate me? You know how much work that's involved? Like, you know how many packages you need to return to Amazon that you haven't done yet, or like emails you need to respond to? Like, you're going to go out there and pretend to be me, you know?
Oh yeah,
Just so,
I get those
like, I can freeze my account.
notifications that are like, "Oh, your data is all out in a leak." I'm like, okay, like, what are they gonna do with it? Like,
Yeah.
do you want a lot of debt? Steal my identity. Let's go. Like,
Enjoy.
Someone's like,
Like-
we stole his identity and now we have so many problems. He seems to be very happy about
Why
this.
do all
Yeah,
the
like,
credit
please
cards I
do, so I
open
can
get
be like-
declined?
I could be like, my house. I don't even own that. Like, I don't know who this.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh God. Okay. Well, we should probably wrap this up. Yeah, for real. Anything else you want to plug or say before we
No,
end? or-
man, this was awesome. I appreciate you coming, having me on. I got to get through our episode too. I'm way too much of a edit freak to like just to push it. I
YOLO
should
it.
do that, but I
Oh,
don't.
I get it.
I do. I
That's
look
the
at them.
problem.
And
That's
I go,
why I like this streaming too.
yes,
Is like,
it forces you.
if you've streamed it, then people have already seen it in the raw state. So fuck it. Like, you don't have to be extra
Yes.
perfect about like.
Yeah, it's only
But
gonna
yeah.
like just be polish on that to a degree.
I know.
Yes.
And here I am and being like, you rebase pushers, like
Yeah.
you're
Sound like
perfectionists.
so
and
much
meanwhile, I'm like,
rebase.
my podcast list is piling up because I'm like, those cuts they need to be just right. Ah,
Do we have
gosh.
to do some reshoots? Is that what you're saying? We're gonna have to
Yeah,
get
yeah,
in
yeah.
and
Oh, God.
put on, for continuity's sake, put on the same thing.
Yeah.
Don't shave for a few
Well,
days, whatever it was.
Yeah, we'll
at
get
that
you guys
point.
back next week, and
Let's do
we'll have Adam do all the same stuff too, and he'll have to leave right at the hour. And
I'll come
You
later.
know, you can
I'll
definitely
come
get 'em
15
for a
minutes
meeting.
late. That'll be
Yeah, with the
Yeah.
echo.
Yeah.
With the echo.
Yeah.
oh yeah, you got
I
to
know how to turn it on and
yeah.
off now, so we can have the echo anytime you want.
Yeah,
Good.
God,
There you
that's.
go. Maybe more
Yeah.
like this. Do you hear yourself?
Oh God, no, don't do it.
I thought you were
about now?
joking.
What about now?
I'm
Video
sorry
call
to
version.
Adam and the folks at Podcast Royale. If you want your podcasts produced by a nice producer, check out Podcast Royale.
Yeah. What about this one?
They're
This
gonna
is
have fun with
interesting.
this one.
How's this sound
Yeah.
to you?
What your
That-
general sound?
Yeah. I switched
sounds
to a
good.
different version.
Yeah, you sound great.
Maybe even
Yeah.
better. Maybe this is the
I
one
think-
for me.
I think it sounds good. I don't know what it was about the previous one that had a little bit of weird sound. Maybe it was just like it was the UK version.
Yeah.
Just it got to sound a little weird.
Yep.
But like, it sounds good now.
It's because
No
I didn't
complaints.
have the right accent, right?
Yeah.
Let's have some fish and chips. Aye.
All right, I'm gonna stop this. Thanks everyone for listening. If you liked it, please subscribe. You're gonna hear some other shit after this from whatever. We're done. You've been watching Whiskey Web and Whatnot, recorded in front of a live studio audience. What the fuck are you talking about, Chuck? Enjoyed the show? Subscribe. You know people don't pay attention to these, right? Head to whiskey.fun for merch and to join our Discord server. I'm serious, it's like 2% of people who actually click these links. And don't forget to leave us a 5-star review and tell your friends about the show. All right, dude, I'm out of here. Still got it.